Hello there, my name is Josh and I am a grown-up doll collector. Welcome to Super Self. On today's video, I want to share with you my tips and tricks on how I take a doll body and transform it into a pattern that will later on help me make a fabulous outfit. You can use this technique for any type of doll, for any type of body, and I am sure it will help you create fabulous designs. So let's get right into it. Some time ago, I bought some books and I was looking into how to create outfits, and I learned about pattern making for dolls specifically. However, these books, although had great ideas and had great designs, it didn't really allow me to work or play with other type of dolls other than the ones in these books. Some were very specific. So I decided to start exploring my creativity, and I created my own patterns, which led me to these wonderful designs you see now on the screen. And I'm very happy with how they came out, so I wanted to share this with you. And you can use this with any type of doll, so any type of height, any type of body shape from many different brands. It will 100% work with it. In the end, you will have something like this. So patterns that you can then transfer into fabrics and bring to life all those wonderful designs. So let's talk about the materials. For today's video, I'm going to be using this headless fashion doll body. We are going to need some masking tape. We're also going to need something to measure things on, so a ruler should be nice. Something to write with, so some pens or pencils. A pair of scissors would also come in handy, as well as some paper to transfer our patterns on. I will be sharing two different methods, and I'm going to start with the first one, which is the one that I normally use. We are going to be doing a full body cast, and what I am doing here is tracing first the edges of this body with smaller pieces of the masking tape. I will recommend you to go around all those corners and more curvy areas first with the tape, and make sure that you press it on so the surface is as flat as possible with the tape. For this video, we are going to be focusing only on the torso area. Here, when you are reaching the back, I will suggest that you leave this little area here a bit open, and you will see later on why that will come in handy. We will be opening the cast from it. So if you need to remove some tension to reach certain areas, feel free to use the scissors for it. In this part also, where it was very curvy, as you see, the scissor was very useful. And once we have covered entirely the body that we are going to be using for the project, you can add an extra layer just to make sure that it is thick enough and it will hold on. Here you can see how the cast is looking like, and it's looking great. This is exactly what I need, a mini dress, and this little tip in the top is also going to be useful in the next stage. Now for the method 2, things will be slightly different. We are going to be using additionally some wrapping paper, some transparent film, the ones that you use in your kitchen. And what we're going to do is protect the doll body with this. And with this second method, we are not going to be doing a full cast, but only half of a cast. This is why it's also very important to cover the doll of the body in full on the area you're going to be using, mainly because you're going to be drawing and then directly on the cast later on, and maybe your hand could slip and you could either write on the doll's body or damage it later on. So it's important to make a full protection. So for this scenario, we're only going to be doing half the doll of the body, as you can see, and that is a difference between method 1 and method 2, but both are equally useful. Before we get tracing in the cast, I made this little graph here to show you where we're going to place our guiding lines. We're going to start with the edges of the seams as well as the center. We are going to draw lines, parallel lines in between those lines we've mentioned before. We're going to do around the neck and around the arms. We are going to draw the circumferences of the breasts and the bikini lines defined by the legs. I would recommend you to start with the center, front and back. You will also be able to do then the waist, that's also a very important part. And for the sides, I will recommend you to use the seam guidelines that dolls usually have. You can see here, doll bodies usually have seams on the sides of the arms, the shoulders and the legs, so you can use those as a reference for when the lines needs to be, and this will be defined in the center, so you can easily draw then the seam lines on the sides there. Make sure to mark also around the arms, around the neck, and as well making the middle lines on the back. In here I am also doing some lines to make sure that the bikini line is accounted for. Once you're done with tracing, you can use a pair of scissors to start removing the cast and that little extra piece that I mentioned before. This is the point where we're going to be opening the cast from. You need to be careful here, of course, not to damage the doll's body. If you prefer, you could also do the wrapping paper before doing all of this, also to protect the doll body. But as you can see, there is no major problem if you are careful about that. So you can start opening up the cast as you see fit, and of course you should always follow the tracing lines just up to the point where you can remove the body completely out of the cast. So as you see, using the guidelines that you've previously drawn it's very useful to remove the cast from the doll body. For the second method, the same techniques applied. Because you have the film paper there and you're doing only half of the body, it should be easier and faster to remove then the cast from the doll's body. Well, now that we have our model out of the cast, she's going to just sit there for a moment while we continue working on our pieces. So now what we need to do is make sure we have flat designs. As you can see, the curves still maintained throughout the cast. So now we need to cut these pieces into smaller ones that will then be our patterns. Now take up something like a pen and start drawing on those lines you previously did with a pencil to make sure that the lines are more visible, and also you can start naming the pieces so that you don't miss track on which one is which one. Areas where there is a curve, you can cut to release some tension from it, and then the piece will become flat, as you can see here.
And once you're done, you should have something like this. On this next step, you can wrap a piece of paper. I'm using some recycled paper that I had, which is a bit more sturdy. This is from All Package, so that works, or any other paper that you have might also work. Make sure to trace the guiding lines like the center point, and then with the ruler you can keep in the trace there. It is important always to have the middle part so that later on you can go back and see that everything is in order. And you can use your model to see how they fit, to make sure that the sides are fitting where they should be fitting, and you can then do the same with the rest. Once you're done cutting your pieces, you can of course transfer it to another paper and add some seam allowance if you want to, or you can keep them as it is. And once you're done, I will highly recommend you that you store them on a Ziploc bag or something that keeps them safe from getting wet or humidity, so that they don't get damaged and you can use them for a long time. If you have some additional tricks, share them in the comments below. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.